everyone, Arlene here. Welcome back to my country craft corner. Remember when I said that I wasn't going to share anything else with you for a little while? That I only had like one Valentine wreath, a deco mesh Valentine wreath to share with you guys, which is true, I do, and I just haven't gotten to that yet. But I decided I'm going to make something. I decided I'm going to make a Valentine wreath, a big one for my front door, because I don't have one for my front door, so I need to make one, right? Right. And I had a lot of the materials. I'm going to make it out of cream burlap. I've got a lot of this. I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to make it on a 24-inch wreath frame, which is going to make it about 30 inches from side to side. I'll measure it at the end to show you guys. But I have already had cream burlap, and I already had some cream flowers, burlap flowers like that. Let me see if I can unfurl one here to show you. Got two of those, not sure if I'll use both. So all I had to go purchase was this little sign, and I used a coupon for that, and it was $7.99, so I paid $4 for that. And I picked up some red burlap, and I'm just gonna make a big fat bow out of this. And then I've got some other red flowers. I did have to purchase those, and they were 50% off at Hobby Lobby this week. So I'm ready to get started, and we'll see what I come up with. Hopefully something big and pretty that will make a nice statement for Valentine's Day. And I'll go ahead and put that up on the door in a couple of weeks because I want to enjoy it for a while. All right, I'll be back when I've got my camera set up to show you guys how I create this Valentine's wreath. Be right back. Here's a closer look at the supplies that I gathered to create this wreath. One 24-inch metal work wreath. One skein of cream burlap measuring 14 inches by 10 yards. I had to order mine online. I'll put a link in the description for y'all. One skein of red burlap measuring 5 inches by 15 feet. Red silk flowers of your choosing. One large cream burlap flower of your choosing. A Happy Valentine's Day sign. Pipe cleaners, wire cutters, scissors, and a hot glue gun. Okay, I'm back, and I'm ready to get started on this wreath. As you can see, this thing is really big. I've taken a minute to... You should do them. So let's get started. Like I do every time, I'm going to... And I start by accordioning the end together, leaving myself a little tough so that I will have the ability to tuck it down in there. And I always start on the outer ring, and I tuck it right down into one of the chenille ties and give it a good twist. And I tuck the burlap back behind. And then I do mine in a looping manner, and some people ruffle them, some people cut them in strips and gather them together that way, but I've always done mine in a looping manner. And I may try the ruffle kind. Stacy, my cousin, has done that, and it looked really, really pretty. So I may try that one day, but not today. So I gather after about 10 to 12 inches. I don't measure them. I just eyeball it. Back it up. So each loop will contain 10 to 12 inches of burlap. And that will give you a nice kind of big loop. So I'm going to start working my way around the outer ring. And when I come back around in this same manner, oh, one other thing, before I speed it up, I am going to speed it up for time purposes here, because you guys would just be bored watching me do this all the way around, and as I yammer along, I just bore you to tears. So one other thing though, try not to twist your burlap. Try to keep, even though there's no right side to it, try to keep the side you started on up. That way you won't be, having to untwist and unfurl your burlap. And it just makes for a prettier wreath, I think. Here we go, 10 to 12 inches back and around. I will go, and I will be back when I get to the very last one over there, and I'll show you how I transition over to the inner ring. Be back in just a few. And here I'm back. Just looped it into the last free chenille tie on the outer ring. And I do not undo my twist tie or my chenille tie where I started. I piggyback this loop right into the same chenille tie as where I started. And I point my burlap kind of toward the center, toward the inner ring, because that's where I'm heading next. So I kind of want it to be, I want to train it to kind of go that direction. So there we go. That does it for the outer ring. So now I'm going to work my way around the inner ring. And without cutting, I just make my next loop, accordion it together. This is very stiff burlap, by the way, so I am struggling a bit with this. Most of the time it's softer. This is a little stiffer. Anyway, as you can see, here's where I stopped. And I'm going to add in, I'm going to make a loop, and I'm going to go to the next natural, what would be the next chenille tie if it was on the outer ring. So I'm going to transition right on over to the inner ring. Sorry, I'm hitting my light up there with this big old wreath. So here we go. And I transition right on over into the inner ring chenille tie. And I work my way around the inner ring in the same manner, looping 10 to 12 inches between the chenille ties, and I just work my way right around the whole inner ring. And I will be right back when I finish that off. Here I come into the chenille tie where I started. So I'm simply going to make one more loop, and I'm going to piggyback it right in and on top of where I started. Just like that. And I'm going to leave myself, cut this off. I'm going to leave myself a little bit of a tuff at the end so that I can tuck it back behind. And I don't have much left over. So there we go. That is all the burlap, all the cream burlap that I will put on this wreath. I'm just going to take a minute to fluff it out a little bit. Next, I need to figure out where I want to put all of the accent pieces. And I don't have that many. So I think I'm going to put the sign right in the middle so it can hang down a little bit. I want it to hang down right at the bottom of the burlap, and this has a metal handle on it, or a metal hanger on it. So I think I'm just going to attach it right like that. I think I'm going to put the bow right on the bottom, and I'm going to make a big bow, big red one. There are times that I get so into the creating process that I forget to check where my hands are at and if they are completely in the frame, and I go mute. So what I did here was simply to make a 4-loop bow on each side of center, looping it to one side and then to the other until I used up the entire skein of burlap. I tied it all together with a pipe cleaner. Then I cut a small piece off of one of the tails and made a loop for the center, and I attached it with a second pipe cleaner. I attached the bow to the wreath by using the pipe cleaners with which I had closed the bow. I attached it to the inner ring on the work wreath. Some flowers here, and I'm going to on one another, turn them opposite of one another. So I'm going to go ahead and leave myself a good bit of stem when I cut these, and I want, oh my goodness, one from each side. And I want them, actually I might not even have to glue them. So I'm going to put them, one going that way, and one going, let me see, there's a long and a short one, and a long and a short one. I'm going to get out some floral wire. Hang on. Oh, floral wire. And unravel it a little bit here. I'm just going to tie these together just so they don't fall apart on me when I'm trying to put them on the wreath. Upside down. A little bit here. And I'm just going to tie it, kind of like it down a little further though. Tie it right on. Tie it right in with the twist ties, or with the chenille ties. I always say twist ties, they're chenille ties. And let's see if there's anywhere I can catch. I want these to kind of, a little, or the shorter pieces to kind of hang down a little bit. I'm not going to attach those in any way. I'm going to just loosely put these longer pieces in the chenille tie that is right here, very loosely though, not anything really tight. Like that. And then I'm going to cut this fella up a little bit here. Such a big wreath. You know what? I think I like one a little bit more. I will probably hot glue it onto just to make sure that it's secure. But for now, I am also going to tie it in. Since I'm not putting a lot of accent pieces on this wreath, I probably am going to want to hide the green chenille ties a little bit, so I very well might take a little dab of hot glue and just tuck them together and hold it there for a minute so that it hides the green chenille ties. Alrighty, I'm waiting for my hot glue gun to heat up here, but I wanted to give you another little tip that I do sometimes. As I said, I'm going to go around and I'm going to glue the burlap, kind of tough it together and glue it. Just put a dab of hot glue on it and hide the green chenille ties because they are going to peek out with this wreath and I don't want to see them. So to give you a hint, I will take clothespins or some kind of clip and dab the glue in. Let's see if we're hot enough. I can go ahead and show you. Dab the glue in And you all know hot glue is dangerous. And then it's not quite hot enough. I kind of tough it together like that and try not to burn myself. And then I clip it with the clothespin so that it'll, there we go. So it will stay put until the glue dries. And I work my way around. And I have 3 clips here. And by the time I use up 3, I can unclip the first one and I work my way all the way around. That way, like this, lift it shut. And then we'll do this one. Sometimes it's easier to grab underneath. Just be really careful not to burn your little fingers, because as we all know, a hot glue burn can be very painful. Alrighty, I'm back. As you can see, I glued it all the way around, so you really can't see any green, and I'll probably have to poke at it and mess with it a little bit to make sure that I have all of the green covered up, because this is cream and that green is kind of loud. But all I need to do is to cut the tails of the bow, which I really love this big fat bow. Look at that. And that was just made, as you saw, just by looping one loop under the next, under the next, under the next, going from one side to the next. I didn't try to make it tiered. I didn't try to make it pretty. I just really just made one loop after another, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 big loops, and then I made a center loop, and then I tied that on separately, and I tied that on the inner ring, and I pulled it really tight so that it would kind of make the bow kind of pooch out, make the loops of the bow kind of move forward, because this is not wired ribbon, so it wouldn't hold its shape, but it'll hold its shape now because it's toughed down tight enough that it'll hold its shape like that. So anyway, I'm going to just chevron the tails, and let me show you how to do that. I'm going to make them pretty long. I'm going to leave the tails pretty long. And this is all of the burlap I had, so I'm going to make the tails that long. And I'm going to pile them on top of one another, and I'm going to fold them both in half. Take my scissors. Now, some people start at the folded edge. I don't. I start on the outside edge, and I just cut at a pretty deep angle. And that provides a nice chevroned edge. And they'll both hang at about the same length. And that's it. That is my Happy Valentine's Day wreath. I'll hang it up on a door, and it's probably going to hang in here on either this door over here on my pantry, or I have one of those over the door wreath hangers over there on my laundry room door. I'll probably hang it there for a couple of weeks until it's time to hang it out, getting closer to February for Valentine's Day. So Happy Valentine's Day. We just got done with Christmas, didn't we? My goodness. And on we go to Valentine's Day. So I'll just say, until next time, y'all take good care. Bye-bye now.